Senator Bernie Sanders from the state of Vermont. He is leading a group of progressive Democratic senators demanding $1,200 stimulus checks be included in the next relief bill. Senator, we've heard your impassioned argument. Help us understand, how many other senators have you convinced to support these stimulus checks? Any Republicans on board?
Yes, I think there is one, but Senator Hawley indicates that he is supportive of a $1,200 per person direct payment and $600 or $500 for children. I think the Democratic caucus is ready to go forward on that. Yesterday, I sent out a letter with 5 other senators, and I think we can have virtually all of the United States Democratic senators on board. The question now is whether or not Mitch McConnell is going to turn his back, as your report just indicated, on the incredible suffering that the American people, the working people, are now experiencing. Unemployment high. We have a record level of hunger in America. Millions of people are facing evictions. This is an emergency. Congress has got to respond aggressively to help working families. You know, Stephanie, I always get a kick. Here in Washington, when we go to war, there's endless amounts of money. Tax breaks for billionaires, endless amounts of money. Corporate welfare, endless amounts of money. When children are going hungry in America today, suddenly we don't have enough money. That's crap. That's wrong. And if we have got to stay here throughout Christmas, which is the last thing in the world that I would want to do, we are going to stay here because we are going to make sure that struggling working families in this country get the help they desperately need.
Senator, I'm not agreeing with you fundamentally, but I want to talk to you practically. You've been the lead sponsor of 422 bills during your 30 years in Congress, but only 7 of them have become law. Given that record and how dire things are, as you just laid out, do you need to find another lane or take a different approach here?
I don't think that's the issue, Stephanie. I mean, you can ask me how many other senators have passed significant legislation in recent years. The question is, you could name post offices and so forth and so on. Some of the legislation that I've worked on, the Veterans Bill, for example, has been very significant in passing. But the issue right now is the United States Congress going to stand up for working people or not? And I am doing my best to rally not only Democrats but Republicans as well. Now, as you may know, the proposal that came out of the White House just yesterday talks not about $1,200 per person, but $600. That's unacceptable. And by the way, they want to do away with all extended unemployment benefits, and that is also unacceptable. As your very excellent report indicated, all over the world, countries are responding to the pain that working families are experiencing. We have got to do the same.
This economic disaster is directly linked to the health crisis. Millions of not millions, we've got people going to work sick every single day because they don't have paid leave, because they're hourly workers. Should the government consider either forcing businesses or the government itself step in and offer paid leave? Because it's only worsening the spread that sick people are going to work every day because, unfortunately, they're making the decision, put food on the table for my kids or go to work sick and risk spreading this thing.
Well, Stephanie, as the previous report before you got on indicated, Benji indicated, we are unique among industrialized countries. Let's be clear. We are the only major country on earth not to have paid family and medical leave. So if you're sick today, maybe you have symptoms of the coronavirus, and your choice is not getting a paycheck or going to work, you know what? You got to feed your kids. You're going to go to work. And by the way, it's not only paid family and medical leave. We are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. And if there's anything that I hope this terrible, terrible pandemic is showing the American people, is how far behind we are other countries around the world in taking care of our children, taking care of the unemployed, taking care of the elderly, taking care of the sick. We're the richest country in the history of the world. 92 million people today are uninsured or underinsured. That is beyond belief. That is why, in my view, we've got to move to Medicare for all, single payer, to guarantee health care to all people.
American people can't afford to get healthy. With Speaker Pelosi and Minority Leader Schumer rejecting the latest package, where do they go from here? What is your advice to them for the next move? We don't want these talks to stall out.
Is to stand tall. Do what the American people want. And with the American people understand that in a democratic, civilized society, we cannot continue to have more desperation out there today than any time since the Great Depression. What the Republicans are proposing is grossly unsatisfactory. You know, you remember, it wasn't so many months ago, the Democrats were saying we need $2 trillion. You recall that? They reached an agreement with Mnuchin, $1.8 trillion. Do you know how much new money is in this package? Do you happen to know? It's $350 billion because they're shifting $350 billion because they're shifting $500 billion or $600 billion from the unused money in the CARES program. That's nothing.
But Senator,
so we gotta,
people in
let
those
me finish.
Republican...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please.
All right, we just got to stand tall. That is unacceptable. And we cannot leave here unless we get $1,200 for every worker and we get extended unemployment, we get adequate aid for states and cities. This country is facing a crisis. We have got to respond accordingly.
People aren't just suffering in Democratic-led states. People are suffering in red states, in blue states, in all of the United States of America, and we need to do something to help them. Senator, thank you so much for joining me today. Always good to see you. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
That video you just saw there was Bernie Sanders on MSNBC advocating for $1,200 economic stimulus payments to Americans in the new relief bill. He's also been advocating for extended unemployment benefits and no corporate immunity, because these Republicans demand that they put in a relief bill that corporations cannot be held liable for medical malpractice when it comes to unsafe work conditions in the workplace and things like that, and COVID or non-COVID related, you know. And then MSNBC comes back and they villainize Bernie Sanders and blame him like a scapegoat for a relief bill not being passed. Rule on MSNBC was talking about how Bernie Sanders, he's had all these bills that he's written to be held for a vote in Congress, and that only a few of them have been passed in his entire career. And they look at that to Bernie like that's a bad thing or something. But Bernie said, you know, you look at many congressmen, they don't have a lot of bills that they passed in Congress either. And is it really Bernie Sanders' fault? Are they really bad bills? No, I think it's because a majority of Congress is bought out by special interests, and they're taking donations from those special interests that influences their vote on bills and legislation.